we're in shorts today, which we'll see how that pans out by the end of the video, because it's about 5 degrees today, so we'll see how that goes. So I'm crouching so you guys can see me. So we know that the Fujifilm X100VI has been making waves in the photography community for its compact size and its sort of premium look, but also comes a premium price tag. So hopefully the goal of this video is to give you guys, the viewers, a better understanding of whether this camera is something that you should consider, or is it something that you should pass on, maybe wait for the next iteration, or if there's any other compact cameras that might be a better choice for you guys. And obviously, after testing the camera extensively for a number of months, taking on holidays and different trips, I've certainly got some opinions on it that I'd like to share. So firstly, let's talk about what makes the Fujifilm so unique. So obviously, starting with the heart of the camera, that is the sensor inside. As a lot of you probably already know, it's got a 40 megapixel sensor. I've got it on my phone here. I'm not going to say the name of it because I'm going to mess it up. It's not new to the Fujifilm line. We've already seen it in other cameras, but it is very much nice to see in this small format. I suppose the only bad point about this, you could maybe say, is the fact that the file sizes can be quite extreme. I've had some of them be maybe 80 megapixels, which if you're quite limited on where you can store your footage, things like that, it's certainly a consideration. But if you're shooting in JPEG, like I am now, used to shoot a lot in RAW, but now JPEG, they're a much more reasonable size at about 23 meg. So next up, we're going to talk about lenses. So obviously, as we know, on this camera it is a fixed 23 megapixel lens, which can't be detached, unlike a lot of cameras of this sort of compact size. Obviously got an aperture of f2, which is nice to see. Means you can still get those blurry backgrounds. It's definitely more, I'd say, for street photography and for travel photography, but obviously we're out today in the English countryside, and I do obviously use it for that, as this is my main camera for all photography that I use. With a fixed lens means that you can't swap interchangeable, which will either be a bad thing or a good thing for photographers. It'll either challenge you to move about, or the fact that you can't swap lenses, there is obviously a cost consideration to that. You can of course digitally crop or buy telephoto adapters, but I wouldn't recommend buying those adapters. I personally use the digital crop and find it, especially for JPEG photos with your custom film recipes, perfectly fine and usable. But it is a consideration to make when you're buying this camera. Maybe that's why a Sony or a Canon of a similar size would be a better alternative if you're looking to have interchangeable lenses. Moving on to viewfinders, a lot of cameras nowadays, especially compact ones, are getting rid of them, but the Fujifilm, it's nice to see that they still do include it and see the importance of having it. Obviously, being a hybrid viewfinder is extremely nice. Obviously you've got the natural look, or you can flick it over to see what your photos will look like straight out of camera. I do particularly like this feature. I think it combines that sort of old school natural look that you would have got with your film cameras, with obviously a newer modern twist on it. Right, we're going to move on to the bad. Obviously I'm losing my voice and it's quite cold, so we're gonna get walking for a bit and take some photos. But the only bad thing about the viewfinder that I've had, especially I think if you were a new user, it can be a bit complicated to use, and obviously switching between both, it might be a bit of a new sort of disturbing thing for you. So it's certainly something to keep in mind if you want to keep things as simple as possible. The Fujifilm, in my opinion, is a camera with travel photography built in mind, and obviously it needs to be durable and portable, which I think is two things it definitely does cover. Bibbly bobbly boob. So we know that the camera is lightweight, especially when you look at its alternatives, full frame alternatives, and obviously having those interchangeable lenses, you have quite a heavy lens on it. It is also weather sealed, so whether you're out in the sunshine like we are today, or it's absolutely chucking it down, you should be perfectly fine. And unlike taking around a big professional looking camera, people won't blink at an eyelid if especially you're doing street photography and you're getting nice up and close and personal with people. They're going to be less likely to be bothered because obviously it doesn't look like a professional camera, you just look like another tourist, which you are. If you've got giant hands, it might be a bit of a problem. It is quite a compact camera and there isn't a lot of grip. Obviously I have done a video on accessories that can help this, so please do go check that out if you're interested. But again, it's a consideration if you've got massive sausage fingers and you're trying to use this camera. So for me, I think the biggest reason why you choose Fujifilm is the film simulations. Obviously Fujifilm are extremely well known for their color science and the ability to have custom recipes, and as a photographer trying to find my unique style, I thought it'd be quite a benefit to me as a photographer to try out different film simulations to again hone my style and skill. The only bad thing about using the film recipes, whilst you can obviously shoot them in RAW, they're designed so that you just shoot in JPEG and you take the photo, I should say, that you get out of camera, and that's what you're posting to your social media, that's what you're putting on your website, that's what you're printing out for people to see. There's a lot less post editing to do, and again, that was something that I wanted, but it's certainly a consideration to think about if you're someone who really likes the editing process afterwards. User-friendly controls is another reason why I wanted to use the Fujifilm. I think the manual controls, you know, the tactile feel you get of all the buttons, whether that's the shutter, the ISO, the aperture, was something that I feel that was lacking from the Sony cameras and other cameras that I've tried. And it was really, I just wanted to be more part of the process, I suppose. So having those manual controls so easy to hand made me feel more involved every time I do press that shutter button. So we are actually back in the office. The weather turned a bit nasty out there, so I'm recording the rest of this video in the office. I know the biggest question everyone had is, how did the shorts turn out? Surprisingly well. I didn't actually get too cold. I got wet, but not cold, so we'll take that as a win. But for the next two topics I want to talk about, the first one is reasons why I think you will love the Fujifilm. I hate to think that people think I might be bashing on the camera too much. I thought, let's talk about some of the reasons why I do like it. I think if you're a street photographer, you'll love this camera for its size and for how discreet it is. You're not going to interrupt people, and it's definitely something that, again, as I move forward, so I'll be doing more photo shoots in Manchester and London. I can't wait to use this camera because I think it'll just fit in so well for that environment. And of course, if you're traveling, it's an extension really of sort of street photography. You know, if you're doing a weekend sort of getaway in sort of Rome, Paris, Barcelona, places like that, this camera will be absolutely fantastic. It'll look stylish when you're dressing yourself up in the evening to go out. It's definitely, I suppose, could be used as an accessory piece, and I know people do use that and some people will cringe at that, but you know, it's something to consider when you're trying to look smart and nice and go out in the evening. And again, it will make you take more photos because you'll have the camera on you all the time, and it's something that I've spoken about previously before. I think for just regular people, this camera is quite good. I mean, I think that the price tag is something we'll get to in a second, but I think if you're just starting out, this is a fantastic camera to capture your sort of journey, you know, whether you've got kids, pets, whatever that might be. It'll certainly keep up with you. Obviously the film simulations can be really good fun to play around with, and you can get some really cool shots. Again, if you're just shooting in JPEG, absolutely fantastic. You don't need to do anything to them. You can use the Fujifilm app, which is actually really good for a camera app. I know the Sony one is terrible. I never get it to work, but the Fujifilm one does actually work. You can connect the photos in a couple of minutes. You can have all your photos on your phone, which is fantastic and definitely convenient and a bit easier than taking out the SD card or plugging in the camera to a computer or something like that. And now we get on to the juicy bit, why you should avoid this camera. Obviously I've got it, so I can't really avoid it, and it is the only camera that I shoot with. So, but there are some things that I think if you were on the fence, they would definitely make you not pick this camera over some others. So starting off with the videographers watching, I would not recommend this camera. I don't use it to film any content, bar some sort of stills that you'll see during this video and a few other videos. The in-body stabilization, things like that is fantastic. It's definitely not a vlogging camera because unlike my Sony that I'm filming with now, you haven't got that flip out screen where you can see yourself. And I just don't think that, even though that they've made it 6.2K and done all these different things and the ND filter is perfect, I think if you're a creative doing what I'm doing, I certainly wouldn't look to create any YouTube content. And again, I think if you're a bit more of a professional photographer, you might struggle with this camera. I certainly wouldn't call myself a professional. I'm not selling any of the work that I'm doing. It's strictly just going up onto Instagram and obviously for you guys to see. But I wouldn't say that it's for anyone that's a professional. I think you need to look at maybe the X-T5 and things like that with interchangeable lenses, especially maybe even higher grade up. I know Fujifilm have some quite expensive cameras, especially if you were an event photographer or weddings or corporate headshots, whatever it might be. It definitely wouldn't be the camera for you. It might be good as a secondary camera, maybe take some different photos, a bit funkier, but definitely not as your main camera. You'd get through the batteries, that's for sure. And lastly, anyone who is conscious about a budget. I was lucky that when I was buying this camera, I knew that the other equipment I had that I was planning on selling would cover the costs. However, I realised that £1,600 for a camera is an extortionate amount, especially when it is so limiting, like we've been talking about. And it might not even be your first camera; it might be your second or third camera that you're buying in your arsenal. But it's one of them at the end of the day. For some people it won't be a lot of money, for some people it will be a lot of money. For me personally, it was a lot of money, and that's why I wrap it in a half case that I've got, because I'm absolutely terrified of dropping it. But yeah, it's definitely a downside. I think you might see if you can maybe pick up previous generations. I've seen people talk about, realistically, even though the autofocus, AI detection and things like that has got better in this newer camera, you could get away with maybe getting an older camera and maybe see, if you get it and you like it, and you use it for 6 months or a year, you could upgrade to the X100VI. I need to come up with a shorter name for it, and do it like that, but it's certainly a consideration, I think. Okay, well, to wrap up this video, thank you for watching if you've got this far. We're on our way to 500 subscribers, and I'm looking to do something when we get to that 500 subscribers, not just reinvest, but I might think about doing some form of giveaway or giving back to everyone that's been contributing to this channel, because it obviously means a lot. To try and wrap up my final thoughts of the Fujifilm and who it really is for. It's a brilliant choice whether you're a street photographer or you're a travel enthusiast. I don't think you can go wrong with this camera. You can definitely shoot for a day with it. It's definitely compact, it's definitely discreet, and it'll look great with any outfit that you try and pair with it. We know it's compact, it's reliable, you can take it out in any weather, it's durable, and it does just make the perfect all-round camera, in my opinion. And again, I think style is something that people don't often talk about, or they do talk about it, but I think it's something that's maybe overlooked. But I know for me, if I've got a camera that I really want to use and pick up, especially when it's tactile buttons like we spoke about earlier, again, it just makes you shoot more, you want to take more photos. So it's something worth thinking about when you're looking at a camera, is not just specs, but how that camera makes you feel. Getting quite philosophical now, but hopefully you get what I'm trying to say. Obviously, this camera is not for anyone trying to do any serious filming or content creation. It's not for anyone trying to do weddings, sports, corporate, anything like that. Obviously, if you want interchangeable lenses, don't look at this camera. There's literally 0 point, or if 23mm isn't for you, then you want to look at a different camera. But I hope this video has been useful. It's been quite fun to film it today. I've been doing a few different things, and yeah, hopefully we'll see everyone in the next video.